Hi, the purpose of this video is to help you to know how to do the research journal effectively. The whole purpose of the research journal is to teach you a bunch of the skills that you need to know to write an effective works cited page or references page, but also to help you to get sources that you can later incorporate in your research paper that will make it really strong, really convincing, and pretty much just really awesome. So this first example that I have is actually from our textbook. um, I have it cited as an MLA source, and don't worry, I'll also show you APA as well. But here I have it, I have the authors, and in MLA you put the last name of the author first for the first author, and then the other names you put just in normal first name, last name order. So I've got the three authors there, and then I have the title of the chapter that I'm citing from, Chapter 2, Argument as Inquiry. And then I have the title of the book, Writing Arguments, a Rhetoric with Readings. Now with MLA, anytime you have something smaller, like a chapter or a poem or even a song from a CD that's part of something bigger, you put it in quotation marks. And then larger books, or a whole movie for instance, would be in italics. After that we have the publication bit, the publication information, the page range of the pages that you would use, and normally you'd actually have numbers there. And then we also have the medium of publication, which in this case would be print. After you have the source, and don't worry if you're confused about MLA versus APA, there's going to be another video about how to do that. So once you have the source information, then you're going to do the bulk of the reading journal, and that's down here. You're going to do a short summary of the entire reading. So this chapter, the whole summary that I wrote for it, it's only 2 sentences long. Ramage et al. Just means and everybody else. So Ramage and the other authors want students to learn to explore issues before jumping to conclusions and picking a side to argue for or against. They hope students will use strategies like brainstorming, free writing, idea mapping, and Peter Elbow's believing and doubting game to do this. So that's pretty much what this whole chapter is about. And by the way, if you're ever stuck with your research topic and you're wondering, how do I get ideas? This is a great chapter to look at. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3 quotes. In each of your sources I'm asking you to find a minimum of 3 quotes. Of course you can find more. But each quote will have the direct quote from the book or whatever you're looking at, and then underneath it you're going to include some of your own thoughts. Any connections that you have, any ideas, what this makes you think of, if you have questions. So each quote section will have 2 parts. So let's look at the first one. From the book, I didn't use the entire quote, so I have these ellipses at the beginning. I start with those 3 dots, and I say, the best way to reinvigorate argument is to approach the reading and writing of arguments as an exploratory process. Straight from the book, page 13. Page numbers are really good to keep track of because they will help you to find the information later if you need it, and it's also important in your citation. So make sure you keep track of page numbers. And then my comment on this. This really makes sense to me. In my experience, I write much more interesting papers when I'm discovering what I think and feel rather than just trying to prove that my point of view is the right one. Notice that this tone is more casual. You don't have to necessarily write in a super academic tone with your notes, but I just want you to be honest. What is this making you think of? What kind of connections do you have? How is this helping your thought process along? Quote 2. A major advantage of picturing your thoughts is that you can see them as part of an emerging design rather than as strings of unrelated ideas. And there's a picture that goes with this on page 18. Basically this refers to the idea of idea mapping or mind mapping. And I really like this strategy because it really helps me to see connections between my points. This also helps me more even than an outline because I feel like it's much easier to move things around and it's easier to draw lines and arrows between ideas. I also like it because I can quickly see which areas I know a lot about and which areas I need to research. And finally, quote 3. It can be threatening to doubt ideas that you instinctively want to believe. This comes from the discussion about Peter Elbow's believing and doubting game. Peter Elbow says it's good when you're exposed to new information to practice believing it. Just think about all the reasons why it might be right, and then also to take the other side and doubt it and question it and really dig into it and see why it might be wrong. But that whole doubting part can actually be kind of hard sometimes. And I really like this quote. I put, "That is so true. It can be threatening to doubt ideas that you instinctively want to believe. But I can also see the value in doubt. I think that's why it's important to play the believing game first and then move to the doubting game. I also find that when I take time to question my beliefs, I end up fine-tuning them. I may not completely change my mind, but I almost end up with a stronger, clearer picture of what I really think." And that's what I hope will happen for you in this class. So this is Entry 1. Again, it kind of gives you an idea of how to cite a source from a book, and we'll be reading many sources that come from books throughout the semester. Please go ahead and watch the other tutorials because they'll help you to understand how to cite and quote from other sources. Thank you.